Good morning, guys. I hope you are all doing well, staying at home safe. Here's our first online class. I'll explain everything from A to Z in the videos. By the end of each video, you will find, if you find anything difficult to understand or have a question, please feel free to ask me and I will answer you as soon as possible. Today, we're going to explain section number 5, cycling of matter. Matter changes its form, but it does not disappear. It can be used over and over again in a continuous cycle. For example, if you have a rock and then you crushed it, what happened? Does it vanish or disappear? Of course not. It just turns into sands and other bits of minerals. Although the matter may change its form over time, the total amount of matter always remains the same. So here we are going to deal with many cycles, which they are very important in the establishment of equilibrium in the ecosystem. Hydrologic, or the most common name for it is known as water cycle, where it is the circular pathway of water from the atmosphere to the surface below the ground and back. Also remember that the organisms play a role in such cycle because mainly most of their bodies contain water. Here, as you can see, precipitation, where the term precipitation means rain or snow, when they fell down into the ground, either they are seep into the ground water, or they form puddle or lake or pond, where depending or according to the type of the soil and the rocks according it, and also according to their location, this groundwater may be emptied directly into the ocean or they may go to the rivers. Another way for water to return back to the atmosphere is done on water, and this process through evaporation process, where the water is evaporated, of course due to the sun energy light. When they are exposed to it, the water droplets will evaporate, and then when they evaporate, they leads to the formation of clouds and then condenses to form precipitation, return back to the soil. Another way for returning back water to the atmosphere is through transpiration, which this process it is done by the plant, where through this process the water vapor it is released by the plant during this transpiration, which is the evaporation that occurs between the plants leaves the atmosphere. This cycle is completed as water vapor in the atmosphere condenses and forms clouds and return back water to the surface once again in the form of precipitation. Let's continue. Okay, here. Of course, as we said that water cycle is one of the important cycle for equilibrium in the ecosystem. Also, we have many types of minerals and elements, which also they are very important and they are very essential. And they are very essential into the structure and the function of the organism. These elements, they are the basic chemical substance. For example, oxygen and hydrogen, which they are found in the chemical compound of water. Also, we have many elements which they are important to the life, including carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, and sulfur. And don't forget that mainly 96% of the mass of the human body contains of these elements. That's why the biochemical cycle, it is the movement of this particular chemical through the biological and the geological processes in the ecosystem. That's why we are going here to talk about the oxygen cycle. As you can see here in this figure, oxygen cycle, where, as you can see here, as you know that the plants make a process. This process it is known as photosynthesis process. During this process, the plants uses the sunlight energy and uses, of course, the carbon dioxide which they are found in the air, and then they convert them into carbohydrates, which it is considered to be the plant's food stored inside it, and they release oxygen. This oxygen it is going to be used by the living organism during their respiration process in order to release they take oxygen and they give back or they release carbon dioxide again to the atmosphere. Well, another cycle which is also very important, it's known as carbon cycle, where carbon is the building block of life and it is the key structure for all living organisms in our planet. It's an essential component for carbohydrates, protein, fats, and all living organic molecules that make up our body. We can see that carbon is found in many forms. It exists in solid, liquid, or gaseous state. Of course, in the gaseous states, we can see carbon, or we can know that carbon dioxide is gas in the atmosphere. Bicarbonate dissolved in water, and this is the liquid state. Fossil fuel, which they are underground deposits of oils, natural gas and coal. Carbon rocks, such as the limestone, and this is the solid state, of course. Dead organic matter, such as humus in the soil. As you know here, as you can see here, that carbon dioxide, as I told you before, in oxygen cycle, that during the photosynthesis process, the plants uses the carbon dioxide which they are found in the air, and then they convert them into carbohydrates, and by using taban, of course, the sun energy, and convert them into oxygen. Okay, how carbon dioxide they are returned back to the atmosphere? This is, of course, takes place through the respiration process, as we said before, that we take oxygen and we give back carbon dioxide. So this is through respiration process. Also, due to the decomposition of the dead organism, the decomposition of dead organism leads to the release also for the carbon dioxide. The burning of fossil fuel, the burning of fossil fuel also leads to the formation of the burning of the fossil fuel and wood, leads to the formation of carbon dioxide, as well as the emission which is come from the from factories and automobiles. You can see here the combustion. These combustions of the factories leads to the release of the carbon dioxide also. Another source for the atmospheric carbon, it's known as methane, which it is emitted from the wetland, landfills, and livestocks. Let me say another thing, that not all the carbon molecules, they are moved freely through the cycle. And let's say that the area that store carbon over a long period of time, they are called carbon sinks. It's a place which carbon is, if they are moved freely, they are in a long period of time, we call them carbon sink. An example for this, it is known as forest land, where there are a large amount of carbon are stored in the cellulose of the wood.